my name's Carly and I'm here for Jackson District Library's summer reading program, Take and Make Craft. Today we're doing Happy Tales toys. We're going to use fleece and a paper clip to make a wonderful rope tug toy for your dog. Now you can use any fabric that you'd like for this. It's a great way to recycle old denim or old toweling, sheets and t-shirts, anything that you can cut into a strip that you might be getting ready to throw away. Go ahead and cut those into strips and you can make this toy with just about any fabric. All right, so to get started, you're going to take your 4 strips of fabric. As you can see, I have 2 of 2 different colors, and you can kind of stretch them out to make it a little easier, but we're going to start just by tying a knot in this fabric. I like to cut off the very tips to help make them a little bit more even. All right, and so once you've got a nice good stretch going in the end of your fabric, you're just going to tie a simple knot. Feel free to pull them through one at a time if that's easier. And you're going to pull this knot as tight as you can. Make sure you really tug it. And then I like to cut off the tips so that they're nice and even. This is where our paper clip comes in. Every time we start our knot, we're going to start with the exact same strip of fabric. So your paper clip will just go onto the very tip of one of, it doesn't matter which one, just stick it onto the end of a piece of fabric, and that's going to be your starting fabric every time. Now this can look a little complicated, but it's really easy, especially once you get into it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to single out the fabric with my little paper clip up there on the end, and I'm going to pull the knot so that I'm holding it in the palm of my hand. So when tying this knot, it is a square knot. I like to think about taking the fabric that I'm crossing across the diagonal to the empty space. So across into this space and across into this space. And that's how we're going to achieve our square knot. So I start by holding it in the palm of my hand with my starting piece of fabric towards me. And then I'm going to cross it over my thumb, creating a kind of loop. That loop will come in at the end of our knot. So I'm going to take it across over the diagonal through the empty space between the next 2 strips of fabric. And then I'm going to do that all the way around. It can be a little harder when the strips are really long, but it gets easier as you go. So now here's this empty space diagonal here. So I'm going to take this next strip and pull it across until it's between these 2. And the same with this one. I'm just going counterclockwise around. So pull it through the diagonal. And then this is our last strip. It's the only one we haven't knotted. So what I'm going to do is hook that on my thumb and pull it through that loop I made with the first strip of fabric. Kind of looks like a mess right now, but when you tighten it, and make sure you pull it nice and tight, when you tighten it, you'll see that it becomes a neat little square. So then we do that again. We start with our piece of fabric that has that paper clip. That's how we know it's the one that we're starting with. So I hold it in my hand with the knot in the end in my palm. I put my thumb over our piece of starting fabric. Try to make it look a little bit like a little X or a cross. It makes it a little easier to see those diagonal divides. So then we take our first strip of fabric and we go across the diagonal to the empty space. And then we go across the diagonal with the next one and the next one. And then we take our last strip and hook it on our thumb and pull it through that loop that we made. And then make sure to pull it as tightly as we can. And you've got yourself a little box knot right there. And that's really all that there is to it. Make sure that you're always starting with the same strip of fabric. So I've got my strip of fabric here with the paper clip on the end to remind me which one it is. I'm holding the knot and the pieces that we've already made down in my palm. I've got my strips kind of spread out to make it a little easier. And then I just go across the diagonal into the empty space. And we're just gonna do that 3 times. And then we've got our last strip that we're gonna pull through this loop we've made over our thumb. And then pull the knot as tightly as you can, and it'll come together into a little box knot. As you work, you'll start to notice the colors spiraling around. So this knot is going to create a spiral that goes all the way down your rope toy. So you want to see that that looks just like that. The inside of your box knot is going to look just like a little box, like a little square. So here's one that I am just about finished with. You can see I still have my paper clip on this end of my strip that I've been starting with every time. So I go across the diagonal, across the diagonal, across the diagonal, through the loop, and then I pull as tightly as I can. You can see your little box there. And then you can see the spiral that goes around and around the rope. Now, when you've reached your desired length, or you have 6 inches left on your shortest strip, because they will end up uneven, this is where we're going to end up tying our knot. Now this can be probably the hardest part, especially if you don't have a lot of fabric left at the end of your tug toy. So I like to leave myself lots and lots of room. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to tie a knot as close to the end of our rope as we can and pull it as tight as we can. So that can be a little difficult. Sometimes it's easier to pull the strips one by one until we start getting them nice and tight. And give it a good tug. And then you cut the ends to make them nice and even. And you have a dog tug toy.